It is Friday, April 3rd, 2026. So, back in high school, shortly after the turn of the millennium in suburban Minnesota, I remember distinctly two classes standing out as being my favorites. I took physics a bit early. Most students would be in one science class per year, starting with physical science, which is kind of a potpourri, followed by biology, chemistry, and then physics, typically in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. We had a science teacher from the school as a neighbor growing up who recommended the ninth grade curriculum wasn't really built upon in the harder science classes later, and that there wasn't anything stopping me from enrolling in the advanced biology class as a ninth grader. So I did. My school did block scheduling on a quarter basis, so four 90-minute classes each day, each quarter. All of the science classes were one semester long. I remember doing bio my freshman year, I think chemistry and physics my sophomore year, and as such, I was about 2 grades and 3 years younger than most of the classmates I was in physics with. The reason I enjoyed physics so much, though, is learning about mechanics. After learning about them, the basics between velocity, acceleration, force, power, and formulas that kind of guided the interactions with them and told us what to expect of things in the physical world, I just remember the way that I viewed that world as having shifted. I feel like I was living mostly in a narrative with my worldview backed up by my own personal experiences before that, right? Pretty common in a, child to young teenage mind. But once I could apply formula to the way most things operated in a way that I could directly both observe and comprehend, I remember starting to look at many things in life as being much more comprehensible. The path of engineering suddenly made a whole lot of sense for me. The fact that we could describe and explain many things with physical laws and even extrapolate other behaviors because of the physical world, it changed fundamentally how I viewed that world. It was an AP physics class, but it only covered the A side of the curriculum, mechanics and electromagnetism without calculus. The B side would have included, for example, weaving in integrals and derivatives as you dive into the math behind those laws. So, as such, while I did get credits on the physics AP test, it was just the A side of the curriculum. And so I retook that along with the full calculus enabled part of it my freshman year of college in the honors physics class for the engineering school. It was less revolutionary. The second time I took it, it was an easier class because I'd been through most of it before. But that one was really helpful because it was more of a good exercise in solidarity with my then fellow freshmen in the University of Minnesota School of IT, later to become the School of, or the College of Science and Engineering. My other favorite high school class was woodshop, and that was interesting for other reasons entirely. I took both formal semesters of woodshop earlier in my high school career and ended up taking at least 2 quarters. I can't remember exactly how many I was able to take of independent study in said woodshop as an upperclassman, just to take advantage of the really advanced tools and work on personal wood projects during school hours. I, to my credit, made a rather nice coffee table that is still in my parents' living room. Unlike AP Physics, the rest of the folks in the intro to woodshop weren't mostly nerds like me. There were a few, sure, but it was a pretty diverse crew. You had your kids who mostly just wanted to deface the thick wood tables that were used as workbenches with various sharp metal objects, many who just took it as an easy elective that they could kind of snooze through, and just a couple of other who I would describe as higher achievers who just happened to like learning and applying physical crafting with power tools. The big project for the formal woodshop classes was ultimately a production line to create Adirondack chairs according to a blueprint that had been used year over year. Think oversized cedar porch chairs. It wasn't hard per se, but it was rewarding getting the whole varied class together to work on one project. We did assembly line style construction, so we would assign out a specific part for each person to specialize in, create a whole bunch of them, and then get the assembly line going to assemble all those chairs. They were then sold to community members. They were a fairly well-known output of the woodshop in certain circles, and then they were sold out back to the community to fund the project and fund the woodshop. I'm not sure if they make those anymore. I imagine the price of wood now is much higher than it was then. In early 2000s, a couple $100 seemed like a lot, but I could see that climbing precipitously, given that everything, including wood, is not getting cheaper. So I could have done PSEO, or post-secondary enrollment options, to ship myself down to the university and start taking college classes directly in my senior year. But having taken college math classes there once a week from 7th through ninth grade, I wasn't super thrilled by doing that again. I think, to my credit, even as a high school senior, I already valued that brief remaining time that I'd have to spend in high school. And I was regularly engaged with school theater programs as my main extracurricular activity. I wasn't quite ready to give that one up either. So instead, in my senior year, I took a few more AP classes and I took a lot of independent studies. Those included being a teacher's assistant for a chemistry teacher I got along with and had taken several years of chemistry from, running passes and helping with admin work for the floor offices, and then working truly independently in the wood shop, which I remember having nearly all to myself based on the blocks of time that I chose to spend there. The admin work for the school admins was probably the most useful of those three in terms of prepping me for my eventual career. But I definitely enjoyed the ability to self pace actual physical creation in that kitted out, rich suburban school woodshop.